Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. हरे नाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Very well. I'm incredibly happy, joyful, and honored to be in this beautiful home of Namasmaran Prabhu and Bhumika Matji and their parents and their brother. So thank you so much for opening the door of your home and have this program. Nihar, of course. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers, and then Aditi, it's such a pleasure to see you. We'll start with Mangalacharan prayers, and then we can get started. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamalaam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I didn't meet you before. Amit Upadhyay, thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Very nice. No, thank you. Thank you. So there are a few things we can do tonight. One thing I was thinking is, for the month of Damodar, we sing the Damodar Ashtakam, but we can go and discuss the Ashtakam itself. We can go deeper into the Ashtakam, on what the meaning of each phrase or verse is. So it will enhance our mood when we sing tonight. We can do the 11th canto, where we have 24 teachers of the Brahmana, where he says. We can do Bhagavad Gita or whatever. 11th canto. All right, we'll do that. Um, okay, and then we'll also sing one bhajan, which is called Chaurashtakam. So this is, that bhajan is depicting Krishna as a thief, and so we can do that bhajan as well. All right. So since it's 11th canto, everybody, or all right. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So let's do chapter 8, 11th canto, the story of Pingala. Or let's see, that may be rated R. It's fine. It should be fine. Yeah, chapter 8. Text one. So before we do Bhagavatam, we repeat a small mantra. If you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So before we get into Srimad Bhagavatam, the question I will spend some time talking, why Bhagavatam? What is so special about this book? There are 18 Puranas, there are 108 Upanishads, there are Vedas, there are Itihasas. But what is about Bhagavatam that we give such importance? The reason it is mentioned here is that the story of Bhagavatam is interesting. Shall I tell a little bit about that story? So we know the story of Vedavyas. In the Kreta Yuga, in the Krita Yuga or the Satya Yuga, there was no Vedas. The Vedas actually were just one. And there was one mantra, that was Omkara. There was no Varnas. There was no Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. There was just one class of men called Hamsas. In the age of Satya Yuga, everything was just perfect. People were not envious. They were so absorbed in Krishna or God at that point of time that they never quarreled. They never had jealousy or envy, or the fights were practically unheard of, and every situation was perfect. But in what is called after Satya Yuga, it is Treta Yuga. In Treta Yuga, the Varnas came about, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that these Varnas are never coming out of Janma. It is karma. So Krishna says, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srushtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha, not Janma Karma Vibhagasha. Because by birth, nobody can become something. Or because I was born of a certain father, then I'll be that. Because my father, my late father, who passed away in February, was a very, very good doctor. He was an excellent surgeon, actually. And then, I'll pick on Dhira Prashant Prabhu. Dhira Prashant Prabhu comes and says, God forbid it, he has a long life and healthy life, but he says, I have certain condition and I need to be operated. And I'll say, no problems, Prabhu, I'll operate on you. Really? Yeah, my father is a doctor, excellent surgeon, and I have read some books, seen some YouTube videos. Pretty much, I think I figured it out. So please, come tomorrow at 8 a.m. to this particular, you don't even need any medical facilities. I'll do it in my garage. Dhira Prashanta Prabhu will say, I don't know if I need surgery, but you need psychiatrist. Something is seriously wrong with you. But my father is a general surgeon. But did you get the training? Did you go to medical school? No, my brother went, but I went to computer sciences. So if a simple surgery needs how many years of medical school, Nihar? 10, 12 years, 15 years? Before you can actually operate on a patient. But then, my father is a Brahmana, and I do all sorts of unbrahminical things, but I'm a Brahmana. How does it work? And so the Varnashrama system came about in Treta Yuga. And then the Vedas were divided into three. Krishna divided the Vedas into, so there are four types of Vedas, four Vedas, which are Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, and Atharva Veda. But during the Treta Yuga time, there were only three Vedas. And Vyasadev, when the Kali Yuga came about, then he divided it into four Vedas. So that's why you find somewhere in the scriptures, there are only three Vedas. And then some scriptures, there are four Vedas. But the content is the same. The division is different. So Veda Vyas divided those four Vedas. And then he wrote Mahabharata. Mahabharata is actually meant for, it is mentioned because in the previous times, who could read Vedas? Because I said Varnashramas. How many Varnas are there? What are those? Brahmana. The Shudras were not allowed to read Vedas. Only Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. They could be initiated. They can have the sacred thread. And the sacred thread was one purpose only. That, Nihar, was the entrance exam into Vedic studies. You pass your entrance exam by putting that. Otherwise, you are not allowed. Because the Shudras and others couldn't read Vedas, Veda Vyas wrote Mahabharata. Mahabharata is thrilling. It has romance, intrigue. It has horror. It has really masala stuff. The whole idea of Mahabharata being such a literature was to attract common people. And in Mahabharata was the Bhagavad Gita. In the Yuddha Parva, there Krishna spoke 18 chapters of Gita. And to bring people to the words of Krishna, Vedavyas wrote Mahabharata. So he wrote Mahabharata, he wrote Puranas, he wrote Upanishads. But his heart was still not happy. And he did it exclusively for benefit of others. Not that he had copyrights and needed to earn money. Nor did he have some intellectual properties in those books that had, his thing. He exclusively did it for others. He just did it for the whole world. But then, even after doing so much, he was not happy. And he could detect there was certain dissatisfaction. So he asked his spiritual master, Narada Muni, why? Why am I not feeling that happiness? And Narada said, because you have not directly broadcast the glories of Krishna. Mahabharata, if you read, Krishna is a character, not the character. So Krishna is seen as another historical character, another character who is slightly powerful. But then he said that Krishna is the absolute truth and you did not glorify him. So that's the reason. And then Bhagavatam was written. Vyasadeva actually went into deep trance or samadhi. And that's a very profound thing that he experiences in samadhi. And it's mentioned in the Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha if you want to go deeper. But in that samadhi or in that complete state of trance, he saw everything as it is. He saw the supreme absolute truth. He saw the material nature. He saw the jivas like us struggling with material nature. And he said the process of bhakti is going to be very helpful for everyone. So he enunciated that, or he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam under that inspiration. So that Bhagavatam was born from there. And the whole focus of Bhagavatam is only one. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. There is no other intention. There is no other diversion. There is no other consideration except bhakti to Krishna. And that is Bhagavatam. And I will guarantee you one thing, because this guarantee is written in Bhagavatam, that Bhagavatam is something that it's nice to hear, a little bit tough here and there philosophy, but let's get to the stories, whatever. But Bhagavatam has such power that it can reveal Krishna to you. In fact, it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam itself that the first canto, first chapter, second verse, it is so clear. It is like, this verse goes something like this. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vaparayirishvara Sadhyo Hridya Avarudya Tetra Shushvi Kritivi Shushru Vizistakshana. So it is mentioned that Krishna actually becomes captured in the heart. Krishna actually enters the heart of one who reads Bhagavatam. That supreme absolute truth, whom the yogis perform millions of lifetimes of austerities, people, yogis who give up everything to go to forest, that same Krishna is obtained by reading Bhagavatam. So that is the speciality of Bhagavatam. And because we desire to establish relationship with Krishna, we are reading Bhagavatam. So talking of Krishna getting into the heart, we will do that Chaurashtakam verse. If somebody can give me kartals, please. Thank you. All right, thank you. So let's do the translation, one translation at a time, and we can start from the back. Then this Nito, and then Bhumika Mataji, and then Divya Kumari, then Sirisha. It'll go like that.
I offer my respectful obeisances to that
Please.
to that foremost of thieves, who is famous in Vraja as the butter thief, and he who steals the gopis' clothes, and who, for those who take shelter of him, steals the scenes of which have accrued over many lifetimes. I offer my respectful obeisances to the foremost of thieves, who steals Srimati Radhika's heart, who steals the dark luster of a fresh rain cloud, and who steals all the sins and sufferings of those who take shelter of his feet.
He turns his surrendered devotees into paupers and wandering homeless beggars. Alas, such a fearsome thief has never been seen or heard of in all the three worlds.
Mere utterance of his name purges one of a mountain of sins. Such an astonishingly wonderful thief I have never seen or heard of anywhere.
You cut the terrible noose of Yamraj, you sever. O thief, having stolen my wealth, my honor, my senses, my life, and my everything, where can you run to? I have caught you with the rope of my devotion.
You cut the terrible noose of Yamaraja. You sever the dreadful noose of material existence, and you slash everyone's material bondage, but you are unable to cut the knot fastened by your own loving devotees.
O stealer of everything, O thief, today I have imprisoned you in the miserable prison house of my heart, which is very fearful due to the terrible darkness of my ignorance, and there is therefore a very long time you will remain receiving appropriate punishment for your crimes of thievery.
O Krishna, thief of my everything, the noose of my devotion remaining forever tight, you will continue to reside in the prison house of my heart, because I will not release you for millions of aeons.
So this might seem a little accusatory to Krishna. Krishna, you are a thief. You have stolen everything. And then I'll capture you in the prison of my heart and you are not going anywhere. On one hand, it might seem like that, but on the other hand, it's extremely personal. Let me give an example. A person goes to the doctor, and unfortunately, that person has been diagnosed with a brain tumor. And that brain tumor, if not operated, can result in the death of that person. So the person goes to the doctor, the surgery is successful, and the person recovers. Then the patient sues the doctor for stealing. You stole my tumor. On one level, it is true. Nobody will do that. Everybody will say, thank you. So when Krishna is thought, when you surrender to Krishna and Krishna takes away from you, it is the tumor of material existence. So he is the perfect doctor. So think it like that because some aspects of it, like, you're accusing who surrendered unto you, you make them paupers. I'm happy to say for 30 years or more, Krishna has not made me pauper. I'm still having some home. I'm not coming from some bridge now. So by Krishna's mercy. So Yeah, this is on a very, very personal level. This song. Neha, ready? Vraje prasidham navanita choram Kopangananam chadukula choram Vraje prasidham navanita choram Gopangananam chadukula choram Aneka janmarjita papa choram Chauragraganyam purusham namami Shri Radhikaya hridayasya chauram Navambuddha Shamala Kanti Chauram Padashritanam cha samasta chauram Chauragraganyam purusham namami Akinchani kritya padashritam ya Karoti bhikshum pati gehahinam Kenapyaho bhishana chorayedre Drishtashito vana jagatrayepi Vraje prasidham navanita choram Gopangananam chadukula choram Aneka janmarjita papa choram Chauragraganyam purusham namami Yadiyanamapi haratya sesham Giri prasarannapi paparashin Ascharya rupo nanu chora idrik Drishtasrito vanamaya kadapi Danam chamanam chatatendriyani Panam sahitva mama sarva eva Palayase kutra dritodya chora Tvam bhakti damna simaya nibhada चिन्नत्सि घोरं यमपाशबन्धं भिन्नत्सि भीमं भवपाशबन्धम् चिन्नत्सि सर्वस्य समस्तबन्धं नैवात्मनो भक्तकृतं तु बन्धम् मम मानसे तामसराशिघोरे कारागृहे दुःखमये निबद्धा लभस्व हे चौरहरे चिराय स्वचौर्यदोषोचितमेव दण्डम् व्रजे प्रसिद्धं नवनीतचोरं गोपङ्गनानां च दुकुलचोरम् अनेकजन्मार्जितपापचौरं चौराग्रगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि So this is, we just do it together. काराग्रहे वस सदा हृदये मदीये मद्भक्तिपाशदृढबन्धननिश्चलसन् त्वां कृष्ण हे प्रलयकोटिशतान्तरेऽपि सर्वस्वचौरहृदयं नमोचयामि. Haribo. Should we start the class? We didn't even come to the class. Sirisha will be like, when is this fellow going to even start? She's my sister, so I have a right to pull jokes on her. So, let's do 11th canto, 8th chapter and 22nd verse. Bhagavatam has, I think probably this is one of those topics in Bhagavatam that can be somewhat interesting. But there is a deep meaning behind this. And the Bhagavatam thing or the episode we are discussing is the story of Pingala, who was by profession a prostitute. And then we can ask questions and answers later, but there are many deep lessons that we can learn from the story of Pingala from Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll do the Sanskrit. You don't need to. Okay, one more thing. Do you want to repeat the Sanskrit after me, or you don't want to repeat the Sanskrit after me? All right, thank you. Pingala nama veshyase videha nagare pura Tasyame sikshitam kinchin Nibodha nripanandana. Whoever didn't get a chance, maybe they can just mic. You can pass the mic, and we'll do the translations.
O son of kings, previously in the city of Videha, there dwelled a prostitute named Pingala. Now please hear what I have learned from that lady.
So this is actually there is a story. A Brahmana, he says, I have learned from 24 gurus. And 24 gurus, he includes pigeons, he includes hawk, he includes Mother Earth, mountains. He says, just by observing nature, I learned a lot of things. And then he says, I actually learned something from a prostitute. And this is the story of what I learned. She's my, in one sense, she's my guru because she taught me something. So you can see how it need not be an unsavory episode in the modern life actually reveals deep meanings to saintly people. And this is what is being talked in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sasvairinye kadakantam. Okay, sorry. Okay, ready? Okay. Sasvairinye kadakantam. Sanketa upaneshyati. Abhutkale bahirdvare. Bibrati rupamuttamam. Keep going the mic, and whoever reads has to designate the person next and give the mic so that that person will be ready.
The prostitute, desiring to bring a lover into her house, stood outside in the doorway at the night, showing her beautiful form.
Thank you. Marga agacchato viksha. Purushan purusharshabha. Tan shulkadan vittavataha. Kantan me nirtakamuki. Thank you. Agateshu apayateshu. Sanketopajivini. Apyanyo vittavan kopi. Mamupaishyati bhuridaha. Sorry, thank you. Evam durashaya dhvasta. Nidradvara avalambati. Nirgachanti pravishati. Nishitam samapadyata.
As the prostitute Pingla stood in the doorway, many men came and went, walking by her house. Her only means of sustenance was prostitution, and therefore she anxiously thought, Maybe this one who is coming now is very rich. Oh, he's not stopping, but I am sure someone else will come. Surely this man who is coming now will want to pay me for my love, and he will probably give lots of money. Thus, with the vain hope, she remained leaning against the doorway, unable to finish her business and go to sleep. Out of anxiety, she would sometimes walk out toward the street, and sometimes she went back into her house. In this way, the midnight hour gradually arrived.
Thank you. तस्य वित्ताशया शुष्यत् वक्त्रायादीनचेतसः निर्वेदा परमो जज्ञे चिन्ता हेतु सुखावहः.
As the night wore on, the prostitute who intensely desired money gradually became worse and her face dry up. Thus, being filled with anxiety for money and most disappointed, she began to feel a great detachment from her situation and happiness arose in her mind.
Thank you. Text 28. Tasya nirvinna chittaya Gitam shrunuyata mama Nirveda asha pashanam Purushasya yatahyasihi.
So the prostitute felt disgusted with her material situation and thus became indifferent to it. Indeed, detachment acts like a sword, cutting to pieces the binding network of material hopes and desires. Now please hear from me the song sung by the prostitute in that situation.
Thank you. Text 29. Nahyangajata nirvedo Dehabandham jihasati Yata vijnana rahito Manujo mamatam nripa.
Translation. O king, just as a human being who is bereft of spiritual knowledge never desires to give up his false sense of proprietorship over many material things, similarly, a person who has not developed detachment never desires to give up the bondage of the material body.
Thank you. Pingalo vacha Aho me moha vitatim Pashyata vijitatmanaha Ya kanta datsata kamam Kamaye yena balisha.
The prostitute Pingala said, "Just see how greatly illusion I am, because I cannot control my mind. Just like a fool, I desire lusty pleasures from an insignificant man."
Santam samipe ramanam rati pradam Vitta pradam nityamimam vihaya Akamadam dukkha bhayadi shoka Moha pradam tuchhamaham bhajejna.
I am such a fool that I have given up the service of that person who, being eternally situated within my heart, is actually most dear to me. That most dear one is the Lord of the universe, who is the bestower of real love and happiness, and the source of all prosperity. Although he is in my own heart, I have completely neglected him. Instead, I have ignorantly served insignificant men who can never satisfy my real desires and who have simply brought me unhappiness, fear, anxiety, lamentation, and illusion.
Thank you. Text 32. Aho mayatma paritapito vrita सांकेत्यवृत्तायति विगर्ह्यवार्तया स्त्रैणान्नराद्यार्तत्रिशोऽनुशोच्यात् क्रीतेन वित्तं रतिमात्मनेच्छति.
Oh, how I have uselessly tortured my own soul. I have sold my body to lusty, greedy men, who are themselves objects of pity, thus practicing the most abominable profession of a prostitute. I hope to get money and sex pleasure.
Thank you. Text 33. Yadastibirnirmitavamshavamsha स्थूणां त्वचारो मनखैपिनद्धम् क्षरण्णवद्वारमगारमेतत् विण्मूत्रपूर्णं मदुपैति कान्या.
Translation. This material body is like a house in which I, the soul, am living. The bones forming my spine, ribs, arms, and legs are like the beams, cross beams, and pillars of the house. And the whole structure, which is full of stool and urine, is covered by skin, hair, and nails. The 9 doors leading into the body are constantly excreting foul substances. Besides me, what woman could be so foolish as to devote herself to this material body, thinking that she might find pleasure and love in this contraption?
Thank you. Videhanam purehyasmin aham ekaiva mudadhi yanyam icchantiya satyasmad atmadat kama machyutat. Before you go ahead, there is plenty of space here. And unless somebody wants to sit in that position, it is good. I'm just saying. It's fine. Please be comfortable wherever. All right. Please go ahead.
Translation. Certainly in this city of Videha, I alone am completely foolish. I neglected the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who awards us everything, even our original spiritual form, and instead I desired to enjoy sense gratification with many men.
Suhrut preshtat tamo natha Atma chayam sharirinam Tam vikriyatmanaivaham Ramenena yatharama.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is absolutely the most dear one for all living beings because He is everyone's well-wisher and Lord. He is the Supreme Soul situated in everyone's heart. Therefore, I will now pay the price of complete surrender, and thus practicing the Lord, I will enjoy with him just like Lakshmi Devi.
What is the price to attain the Lord? Excellent. Kiyat priyam te vyabhajan kamaye kamadanaraha adyantavanto bharyaya devava kala vidrutaha.
Men provide sense gratification for women, but all these men and even the demigods in heaven have a beginning and an end. They are all temporary creations who will be dragged away by time. Therefore, how much actual pleasure or happiness could any of them ever give to their wives?
Thank you. Nunam me Bhagavan Prito Vishnu kenapi karmana Nirvedoyam durashaya Yanme jata sukavaha. Thank you. Maivam syurmanda bhagyaya klesha nirveda hetavaha yenanubandam nirhritya purusha shamam richati.
A person who has developed detachment can give up the bondage of material society, friendship, and love. And a person who undergoes great suffering gradually becomes out of the hopelessness, detached and indifferent to the material world. Thus, due to my great suffering, such detachment awoke in my heart. Yet how could I have undergo such a merciful suffering if I were actually unfortunate? Therefore, I am in fact fortunate that have received the mercy of the Lord. He must somehow or others will be pleased with me.
Thank you. Tenopakritamādāya Shirasa gramya sangataha Tyaktva durasha sharanam Vrajami tam adhishwaram.
Translation. With devotion, I accept the great benefit that the Lord has bestowed upon me. Having given up my sinful desires for ordinary sense gratification, I now take shelter of Him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you. Text 40. Santushta shraddadadyetat Yatha labhena jivati Vihara amunaivaham Atmana ramanena vai.
I am now completely satisfied and I have full faith in the Lord's mercy. Therefore, I will maintain myself with whatever comes of its own accord. I shall enjoy life with only the Lord because He is the real source of love and happiness.
Thank you. Good, interesting. Samsarakupe patitam Vishayairmushite kshanam Grastam kalahinatmanam Grast Konyastratumadhishvaraha.
Into the dark well of material existence. Within that well, he is then seized by the deadly serpent of time. Who else but the Supreme Personality of Godhead could save the poor living entity from such a hopeless condition?
Atmaiva hyatmano gopta Nirvidyeta yadakhilat Apramatta idam pashed Grastam kala hina jagat.
Translation: when the living entity sees that the entire universe has been seized by the serpent of time, he becomes sober and sane, and at the time detach himself from all material sense gratification. In that condition, the living entity is qualified to be his own protector.
Thank you. Text 43. Sri Brahmana Uvacha Evam Yavasita Matir Durasham Kanta Tarshajam Chitvopashamamastaya Shayyam Upaviveshasa.
The translation, the Avduta said, thus her mind completely made up. Pingala cut off all her sinful desires to enjoy sex pleasure with lovers, and she became situated in perfect peace. Then she sat down on her bed.
Thank you. Text 44. Ashahi paramam dukkham Nairashyam paramam sukham Yata sanchidya kantasham Sukham shushvapa pingala.
Translation. Material desire is undoubtedly the cause of the greatest unhappiness, and freedom from such desire is the cause of the greatest happiness. Therefore, completely cutting off her desire to enjoy so-called lovers, Pingala very happily went to sleep.
Nice. So, there are a few lessons that we learn from this. The first lesson is oftentimes women are treated as lower class. And, it's prevalent across the world, across the cultures, across a socio-economic background. But the story of Bhagavatam is not only of a woman, but a prostitute at that, who is considered even among women a little bit more degraded. But the story is that she became enlightened by mercy of Krishna. The lesson we learn from this is that Krishna's mercy is not limited to just man. Even women get that mercy of Krishna, and Krishna himself says that doesn't matter who, when they approach me, they get purified. In Bhakti Yoga, it is the man and woman concept is kind of somewhat blurred. In the other forms of yoga, women don't go to the forest to practice meditation and so on and so forth, because that's not their nature. But in bhakti yoga, it is not so. Women get the equal, just because of a bodily platform doesn't give one species or one gender much more access to Krishna than who is not. And because the reason is this: Krishna is supremely pure. He's like that sun that can burn up anything. On the road, if you see somebody has, for example, is suffering from a very deadly disease, right? And that person just spits something on the floor, on the road. Now, if an ordinary person touches that or comes in contact, then he or she will be affected with that deadly disease. But that spit, if it is exposed to sun for a long time, then what happens? It just becomes completely harmless, because all the virus, bacteria, whatever that is causing the disease will be completely destroyed. So Krishna is so powerful that there was no question of, that he cannot purify. So Pingala's story actually tells that everybody is equally recipient of Krishna's mercy. And Krishna doesn't only give mercy to men and women, or vice versa. The other thing is, seriously, Pingala didn't do any sort of Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting for 40 years before she got the realization. She was actually a prostitute. She was going about doing her daily business. But she says, somehow I must have done something that has pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All wonderful devotees in the temple, oftentimes we don't see them, but they are doing a lot of services. Somebody might be cooking, somebody might be making garland, somebody will be cleaning, somebody will be, just doing a little bit of service. We don't know which service will please Krishna, and which service, when in the time of need, Krishna will awaken that mercy from within the heart. So oftentimes when we do service, it might seem really dry. It might seem that, my name is not coming up. I'm not getting sufficient credit. People are not giving me that kind of respect and that recognition. But please understand that Krishna is seeing. Krishna is watching every single act. And he knows that the service you have done for him will never go in vain. So it might not be this lifetime. Because Pingala didn't do much in this lifetime to get that renunciation. And that renunciation was firm and fixed. And Krishna really revealed that knowledge to the heart. And then the words spoken by Pingala are no less than a great saint, who's a very learned saint, because they are in the pages of Bhagavatam. So the mercy of the Lord is never going to go in vain. The service, the seva that we do to the Lord never goes in vain. So, do the best we can to kind of serve the Lord. Other thing, we are all married, and we need to do our service. We need to, not service, we need to play our roles in married life or in society life. While we do it with the knowledge that ultimately this is not going to give me complete happiness. This is not the ultimate source. Like it or not, these relationships will be separated by time. It's just a matter of time. So we do our part. Not be negligent. No, you cannot be neglectful of your family obligations as well. But to kind of act in the knowledge that this is not ultimate. This is not the reality. This is my family, my wealth, my money, my youth, my PhDs, my bank balance. These are not the source of my security. Because Krishna is the only source of my security. And then Pingala learned it in a way. So Krishna gave that mercy to her, immediately. So you never know. That the other thing is, if a person, if a devotee sees a prostitute, They will be aghast. They'll be like, they'll be really condescending, and they will be like, ugh, and all the negative, pejorative things come about. But you never know who is in what situation. So long, many 15, 20 years ago, I don't know, 15 years ago maybe. Yeah, 15 years ago, there was one devotee who was not initiated by then. He was young. He completed his master's, making a lot of money in Silicon Valley. Then he came to me and he said, he was going on a public transport, and he said, I met a lady, and it seems that she might be a prostitute, because she was propositioning me and she was trying to induce me, kind of stuff. It was so disgusting. It was so vile. Tell me, what should I do about it? He said, next time if you meet, ask her to chant Hare Krishna and give her a book. Prabhu, what are you saying? You shouldn't even go near them. You shouldn't even see the face of all these people. I said, perhaps, but think of what she has done to be put in that position, and how much more so the holy name is needed for her rather than you. Because the fact of the matter is, Pingala might have had that inclination. This one point, I have this firm thing. Where we work, how much we work, how much money we make, it's not something, it's from our own hands. Think about it. Everybody here growing up, you want it to be something, not what you're doing. Yes or yes? If you're honest, I'll be first to say yes. Yet we are here. How are we here? Somebody might say, I wanted to be a movie star, I wanted to be a model, I wanted to be a pilot, I wanted to be an artist, I wanted to be anything but what I'm doing. So Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, these are all the force of time that pushes you to do what you are doing, and the money that you are making, and so on and so forth. So prostitute Pingala was also in that situation. So it's not that I'm saying that encouraging that kind of thing, but only I'm asking is not to judge based on who is in which situation. Yeah. Even in the temple, when we go, if we welcome everyone irrespective of what they are, they will feel that happiness. And because we carry that sort of love from Krishna to others, they should also feel that, and we should strive for that. The Bhagavatam, because when I read for the first time the story of Pingala many years ago in Bhagavatam, I was like very puzzled. What is a prostitute doing in the pages of Bhagavatam? It's the holiest of holy books. Just goes to show that everyone is capable of receiving mercy of Krishna, the Atma, the soul. And that's the story that we learn from Pingala's thing. And then she gave up. One last point. When she gave up, she said that I'm going to commit suicide. Why? Because it's equivalent to a modern context. The Silicon Valley is completely closed. My laptop is gone. What do I do? He said that I will be satisfied with whatever comes of its own accord. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter, 22nd verse, he says, Yadricha labha santushto dvandva tito vimatsarha samasiddha vasiddhocha karmani na nibadhyate. He says, whatever gain that comes of its own accord, be satisfied. Now, we can add some caveats to it, like, whatever gain which comes of its own accord, and somebody might say, what, I'll stay at home. And, like Amazon fellow will bring packages, I'll get some packages, No. The idea here is you put in the best of your effort, and it will come. Sometimes, especially Nihar and the students, they take exams, and they do their best to kind of score well on the exams. You should really work hard. But then if the results they come, you shouldn't get too morose or depressed, saying that somehow that my score defines who I am. Unfortunately, in India, growing up, we have had to endure this hard thing. You had to be a first rank. Otherwise, even staying in the trash can is too high for you. Because, please understand that these marks, that the grades that you get, now who are like 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, how many of those marks actually make sense now? You are earning that money and somehow you are maintaining it. At that time it was anxiety. So the parents shouldn't be super anxious and beat up the kids because their expectations were not met, provided the kids should learn the value of hard work. But the kids also shouldn't think that this is what defines me. My marks define the love I will get from my parents. My marks define whether I'll be a loser in life or will I be a success. These are the considerations that the parents actually should help the children inculcate, saying that ups and downs are part of life. Inevitable. In your own life, you can think about it. Not every time you got a first rank. Not every time you got the job or you got the dream job or the admission into the dream college. And these are all defined. And in the long run, it really doesn't matter. Truly doesn't matter. Because and then the problem is, the reason is this. I'll tell you a simple reason. For the person who is successful all the time, he or she will become the prisoner of their success. It is not going to lead them to happiness, but to more anxiety. Now I have set my reputation amongst my community family at this level. Anything falling short is a failure. Growing up in India, we did not have negative coping mechanisms, but in the West, they are so prevalent. To get hands on substances for kids, to get a pleasure from opposite gender, to do so many nonsensical things is super easy. And it's up to us to make sure that they feel valued under all circumstances. Because if they cannot share it, they will share with their classmates. And the classmates can give them really wrong advice. It's okay. Seriously, it's okay. Because the whole construct of your academic success and job and the stress and anxiety, even if you get into the job, one recession and everybody's on their seats. Working 12 hours a day, showing to the boss that I am the value add to the company, please don't fire me. It's never ending life story, man. So at what point will you get peace? So if you think from the long-term perspective, if you can encourage your child to remain in touch with Krishna, because Pingala did not have a mentor at that point of time. She did not have her parents. And obviously she didn't have a family, because if she had a family, she couldn't engage in this profession. She was alone. But she had that realization how Krishna somehow came into the heart. If you can give that to your family, wife to the husband, husband to the wife, mother to the children, children to the father, later children to the parents, you give them that, later, if they grow up and then you are 60, 65, retired, and you are watching TV all day long, they'll say, what nonsense are you doing? You should chant Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. No, actually it is mentioned, whoever encourages you to chant or to render service to Krishna actually is your guru. So Pingala's story has so many lessons for day-to-day use for us. The last thing, people are attracted by the glamour of Hollywood or Bollywood or any wood. With Bollywood came Hollywood, and then in Telugu that is called? Thank you. And Bengali is called Kollywood. Any wood, doesn't matter. From Pingala's lesson, we learned that it's just a mere illusion. People rush into the movie industry thinking that I'll be the next whatever. But it's just an illusion because the movie stars cannot cope up. And you can see they have the most fame, they have the most money, but they have the most messed up family lives as well. They can't keep one marriage. They are seriously abusing substances. Why? Because the jiva is not to be taken the position of Krishna. Krishna is the person who is supposed to enjoy all of us. But when you become that famous movie star, then you think you become God. The whole world is after you. People are trying to take your photographs. People are trying to, you are, God forbid, you are, anyways, I'll not get into that. But your shoes, let's talk with shoes and clothes. Everybody is trying to buy the shoes and clothes that you are trying to buy. And then if you have worn something, and then people pay like huge money to get that, you are used Mahaprasadam. Everybody is lining up to you. You go to any place, the governors and the politicians are beelining to meet you. And there are hordes of fans and everybody wants. It's a very, very, Maya Devi can create that sort of, it'll seriously turn your mind thinking that you are God. And then you are crushed. So many people are hoping on me, but I am just an ordinary jiva. And then you can't cope up because the jiva is not meant to be God. God is meant to be God. Jiva is meant to serve God. But when the position is reversed, then so much of stress and anxiety comes. And the other thing, your fame, your thing is based on your beauty. And because your beauty is slowly ebbing away, you'll be always afraid saying that, when I become old, and then nobody will give me respect. My beauty that people are really like, thinking me as a god, goddess, they'll be gone. This is the nature of this world. Pingala is kind of telling from her story as well. So it's better to kind of say that, Krishna, you gave me something. In this world, you set something for me for my quota. And I'll try to be happy with that. Try to be. I'll use the word try. Because more often than not, there is always the clash that I want this and I need this to be perfect. And reality could be something else. House buying is a very sobering process in that connection. You set out wanting the castle in Rajasthan. And you will end up 1200 square feet house in San Jose. It's just the nature of material existence. So Krishna has set that house for you, for your quota. And Krishna is saying, be satisfied with this for this lifetime. So Bhagavatam teaches us that, and when you are satisfied with what you get, anywhere you go, you are happy. But the same Lord Vamanadev says, when he goes to Bali Maharaj saying that, what do you want? And Vamana says, I want. And Bali Maharaj says, you are a very child, you're a small kid. You don't even know what you want. It's like you go to the person who is trying to buy Twitter. I come back to that. I know Praveen gets a kick out of it. And that person says, what do you want? Give me $20. Get out of here. I can write $1 million check right now. And it will probably be my lunch with my 10 colleagues. So Vamanadev, when he went to Bali Maharaj, it was something like that. And Bali Maharaj said, I own this entire universe. Planets I can give. You're asking for like 3 pieces of land. And Vamana says this very profound truth. He says that if you are not satisfied with what you get, you can get the entire universe, yet you will be dissatisfied. The entire universe, not just this earth. And it is truth. As if we don't Earth is a perfect thing. We are now trying to go to Mars and colonize it, thinking we'll get something in Mars. Already we are junking the outer space. We are not leaving any place. Human beings have become so junk, they are junking every place they can get. Outer space, Himalayas, oceans, name it. Good? Everybody doing well? For those who have come for the first time, I hope you don't think it's like I hope you don't feel like, oh my God, this is like sitting in the performance review without doing any work for the whole year. And the what boss will say. Thank you. You know that you've been working from home for the last year, but working for home because you didn't do anything much. And your check-ins are practically 20 check-ins. Then your colleagues did like 500 or 600 and you're like, what will my boss? Anyways, any questions, comments, concerns? I think we are way ahead of time. Yes, Achita Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a wonderful class. And also, yeah. It really touched all of us and our day-to-day problems. So one thing, Prabhu, especially with kids and about scores and the things that we see, right? So should we just, as being devotees, should we just treat the situation as yadricha labha santishto and then leave the kid like that? Or should we show something like Prabhupada says, right? You don't bite, but nobody's asking you to hiss. So should we say that this is not going to get you anywhere, and then kind of, it's not that we are burning inside and then we want to burn the other person, but to kind of set the right expectations, to kind of try, should we say that, or should we just, being devotees, just treat yadricha labha santishta, just be normal?
Thank you. So my rule of thumb is usually you try thrice. That's just me. First time that you didn't make it, then you actually seriously introspect why. What was my shortcoming? Did I not put enough effort? Was I nervous? Was it the lack of physical effort, or was it the lack of emotional effort? Was it my own mind was not stable when I did this? So it needs a deep analysis, and probably you'll need a person who you can trust to get a right feedback. But try it again. And second time doesn't work. Try again for the third time. Because there is something called practice, and practice adds value. Practice makes what you do is more proficient. So it all depends on individual situation. But but only thing is, for children, the way you approach is that you never make them feel unloved because of their score. The trick lies in making sure that while you are clear with the dissatisfaction, or maybe you expected something that has to be made clear, but it's never out of the thing that, if you do this, then I'll buy you something. Either that, or to kind of give that impetus is the secret to motivating the child, rather than I hope that helps. But then 3 is a number that is for me. I want to put in a disclaimer. For some it might be 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. It depends on you. But after a stage you should say that maybe Krishna doesn't want it. Maybe Krishna doesn't want me to do this. I tried my best. It's not working out. Because sometimes if you are a devotee, Krishna will actually, even though, this is the point though. We said, we sang in the Chaurashtakam, Yadiya Namapi Haratya Sesham Kiri prasaran apipapa rashin, which he says that merely by once uttering the names of Krishna, mountains of sins are destroyed. And we are very happy, Krishna, good, good, good. But the good thing don't take. My negative, sinful, please take. But whatever the pious things, keep it. Krishna is saying, no, I'll take both. So if the astrologer says you have to be this by this time and you are a devotee, Krishna will say nope to astrology. He will actually not give you. It is his prerogative. That complete surrender is the price. What do we lead? So when complete surrender comes, Krishna will take both negative and positive. So that prerogative Krishna has. So if you don't want it, then don't surrender to Krishna. A partial surrender to Krishna. Because partial surrender can have its own problems from the devotee perspective. The partial surrender is that, Krishna only help me when I need. Otherwise, stay in the background, please. But Krishna will say, I'll stay in the background, but he will give so much wealth that you will forget him. He can do that. So one has to be careful. Aditi Mataji, please.
Just to follow up on that. So how to do complete surrender to Krishna? Just a reminder, Prabhuji, thank you.
So I think we can have a whole class on surrender, but I'll give in a nutshell is that Krishna, you have my full permission to do what you want to do with me. I offer my body, my words, my family, my wealth to you. If you want to take it completely, take it. If you want to keep it, keep it. It's your choice. But all I beg from you in return is this. May I be always engaged in your bhakti, unalloyed bhakti. That's all I ask. And whatever little I read from Bhagavatam, from kings to demigods to paupers to Pingala, everybody asked the same prayer from the Lord, that I want unalloyed devotion service to Krishna. So, in a nutshell, that is surrender. Thank you.
I think you kind of read my mind, Prabhu. I was asking the same question about detachment. But in the purport, right, I think, translations we read, there are two aspects. One is, as you mentioned, like, Pingala does, complete surrender, right? Somehow by Krishna's mercy, you mentioned, she got detachment. But it's also there in the translation where it says, she's undergone a lot of sufferings. Now you're like, I'm done, right? I don't need any sufferings. Like, you're detached. But then Bhagavatam, 1st chapter, Canto 2 also mentions, right? Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janatya Vairagya Jnanam Cha Hetukam, right? When you do devotional service, you get knowledge and detachment. Well, we cannot take Pingala as an example, right? Because it's a outlier, it's a rare case, right? So how do we approach this? Because we cannot relate to that in this present situation, because we as devotees do not want to associate with that, like people like that, because it's going to derail our devotional service, right? So the question is, do I do devotional service and I hope I get knowledge and detachment, or I'll be like, I'll surrender completely and I get detachment? How do we kind of understand this?
I don't understand your question completely. So if you can just paraphrase, please.
So here in this,
I'm a little dull-headed person. You should understand that.
I'm lost with the question, but so here it seems like she got detachment by complete surrender. That's what I understand. Is that correct?
No, actually, the devotional service she did to the Lord in one of the previous lives triggered that renunciation within the heart by mercy of Krishna.
I see. I lost that.
So when you do bhakti and you are going strong, and suddenly you do activities that are really unfavorable to devotion, here is the problem. Your devotion is never taken away from you, which means that you reach certain level. But then you did something very unfavorable to devotion, then what happens to that devotion? That kind of gets completely lost. Then it gets covered. So for a long time, you will forget Krishna. You will forget the fact that you did devotion to Krishna. Pingala might have done that in the previous life. So because of her unfavorable occupation of what she was, it got covered. But suddenly Krishna, he uncovered it, and it can go. So keep doing your service to Krishna. You might not get immediate results. And then, is God even existing? When I'm chanting my rounds, does he even hear? For whom am I chanting? Well, Krishna is there. He will hear. And at the appropriate moment, he has to give fruits for your bhakti. And when he gives, it's his prerogative. He will make you sufficiently cleansed, and then he will give. If that helps.
Thank you for hitting on the head, Prabhuji. Thank you. I got it.
I didn't hit on the head. Yes, Aditi. Yes.
Okay, just following up on what you said. So you instill that fear again, that if you do complete surrender to Krishna, he might take away something that you love or something you really want or something like that. So but bhakti is all about pure love. So why does this fear always comes up? And it's happened in some other conversations as well and in lectures I've heard. So it's like, I want to completely surrender, but then I don't think I'm emotionally, mentally ready to lose something that Krishna might think is an obstacle, but for me, it might be close to my heart. So I don't like that, because I know Bhakti Yoga is all about love, and we should just love him and completely surrender to him, and that's all I want to do. But I do see this thing comes up every so often in discourses.
Aditi Mataji has two beautiful kids, 4-year-old Ryan and 2.5, 3-year-old Amaira. They are at that age. If they ask you they'll say that we'll eat only 3 things all day long: soda, candy, and chips. Nothing else. Will you give them? You love them, no? But why are you not giving it? And they will be actually very upset with you if you didn't give them. So Krishna knows. See, we think what we love, what gives us happiness, we might think like that. Just like Amaira might think candy is giving her happiness, but you know better than that. And you will take away just to kind of give her a healthy diet as a mother. The same thing with Krishna. We might think this is actually happiness for me, but Krishna is saying, nope, this will actually take you to trouble. I'll give a simple example. A person is extremely fond of eating sweets. That person, he or she cannot exist without eating sweets. They get diabetes and they are devotee. First thing is, Krishna, why? I am a devotee. Sweets I am eating are also only prasadam. And I am so pure, I cook only at home. I don't even go to the mithai wala. But yet you did this to me. So unfair. But, so Krishna has a reason. Maybe actually you might not even know that sweets can subtly induce desires in your heart. And Krishna is taking away that. So if you can tolerate thinking, thank you, Krishna. I think there is some reason why you did this. It's painful for me that you did that, but please give me some strength to tolerate it. Krishna will be supremely pleased with that kind of attitude that you can exhibit. So is that helpful? Yeah, more than tolerance, it is that I don't know much. Krishna knows everything about me. And he knows what is best for me now. Just like Amaira might at that point of time when she's all of 2.5 might not know why my mother is not giving me candy and chips and soda all day long. And later she will realize when she gets you'll say, thank you, mother. Thank you for not, Otherwise, you have seen kids with no restrictions. They are obese by the time they are 10. And unhealthy. Half the teeth are lost. You can see, that is that helpful? Other questions? Otherwise, we can have Damodarashtakam and then we can have Prashadam. Otherwise, yes.
That Bhakti Yoga entails cooking prasadam, which is women love to do, singing, dancing, kirtan, which is again very dear to women. And we love gossip, but now we are doing transcendental gossip because of Bhagavatam. So I felt that Bhakti Yoga is more for women, actually. Just your comments.
First of all, when you advance in spiritual life, you will not identify yourself as a woman, and men will not identify as a man. The fact that you are thinking on those lines gives a pause to know that I need to go more. One thing. And second thing is, by saying that men are less inclined, again you are contradicting the same statement, or kind of finding fault with Krishna, saying that you are inclined more to women, or souls who are in the body of women, not even women. Because think about it, when a man dies and then burnt, it's ashes. Women dies, burned to ashes. What's the difference? Who was a woman, who was a man? And one more point, if a man dies thinking of a woman, he becomes a woman in the next life. And if woman thinks of man when she's dying, she becomes a man in the next life. So what is man and what is woman? It's if this is just the contraption that I have been given this lifetime, that's it. So to say that it's a subtle indication of that, I don't think it's necessarily the right approach. Then the reason I say is this, because if you think like that, then there will be a lot of clashes at home, thinking that I am superior to you, oh my husband, you should do what I say because I am superior. Women are more higher than Bhakti Yoga. You see where it is going, and the husbands don't appreciate it. It's women still have. See, the thing is, women can be taken out of the house, but house cannot be taken out of women. There was CEO of one company, and my friend was talking to me, and she was like, she was asked, like, what's the price you had to pay for being a CEO of a major company, and how do you balance your home duties? But ironically, men are never asked that question, which itself is a problem, but we'll come to that little later. Coming back to the point, the lady said that I spend my time with my kids and my house is dirty. My house is not kept clean. And that's the price I have to pay to balance my work and spending time with my family. When he told me this story, then I said, Krishna, this is the nature you gave. Women, even if she's the CEO, she's thinking of a dirty house. That didn't go away. It's just the nature. That's why I said you can take women out of the house, but you cannot take house out of women. It's just the nature. That's how we are built. That's how Krishna has designed. So accepting our own nature and approaching Krishna is a much better option than thinking women are better than men, men are better than women, and so on and so forth. At least in the modern times. And out of humility, if men offer respect to the women, saying that my wife is a better devotee than me, women shouldn't be proud. And it shouldn't be vice versa, saying that, because I am a male, I need to teach women. So it's a very, unharmonious situation. I hope that helps before it gets too controversial. Do we have agarbatti burning? Agarbatti? It's fine. It's fine. No, it's okay. It's okay. I think it should. Other questions, comments? Mate, you have a question? Yes, please. So, Namaswaran Prabhu, you are okay, right? We are going. This is. We started late, so that's a good excuse to start with. And we are okay, right? Okay. Thank you. Yes, Mataji.
Only one mantra what I know, that karmani evadikaraste ma phale sukadachana ma karma phale turburma te sangostav karmani. And I think the translation what I understand by that mantra is to work you have the rights, not to the fruits thereof. And I think it was mentioned by Swami Vivekananda. It's so, I mean, being an adult, I understand this. How I can try to help my kids out of it, because when it comes failure and success, right, that's the only two things they are saying, that's the only two things they are reading. And it's like comparison is in this world, is everywhere. You cannot stop that, right? Because they have to face the outer world, not only the home. So even as a parent, we understand that, okay, you just work hard, not to the fruits thereof. But it's hard for us to explain to kids all this. They are not taking that way. They are literally giving up very easily. And I mean, that failure killed them inside. And I'm scared of that part.
Thank you. So, the Karmanya Vadikaraste verse is from the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's verse number 47. And it was specifically targeted toward Arjuna, who did not want to fight the battlefield. And Krishna said, you should fight, don't expect the fruits. From the children's perspective, they may not be able to understand. And you should do whatever it takes to induce them to work. Because not everybody is on that level. But what your message should be is that you try your best. And because I've seen that when kids become teenagers, they are in a very difficult stage of their lives. I'll tell you why. They are no longer kids, carefree. They no longer are adults. They are still, they are painfully aware that they are dependent on their parents. They know that they have to be something in life. Their pressure is there on them. So, if you say Karmanya Vadikaraste, that message will fall flat on the ears. They will say, you are talking nonsense. I am looking at, I'll be a lawyer, doctor, I need to make $500,000, whatever. Need to have Porsche, whatever. At that point of time, the only thing you can tell is, yes, you tried, but try to your best. And if things don't fall according to what your expectation, that is not the end of your life. Or your self-worth shouldn't be tied to that. And you cannot force it on them, but when things happen like that, then you can reinforce that message. For example, if a person wanted to get into Harvard and that was the goal, and that he or she has been working for a long time, and just for the humorous effect, it's not meant for him, they got into community college in Dianza. Somehow. Or, no, let's make it better. UC Santa Barbara. Nice. You should tell them that you tried, but there are external influences that have to agree to help you. Now, it could be God, it could be karma, it could be universe, it could be power, it could be whatever. But you should, if you say that you alone are not the doer, it is not your effort only that will determine the outcome. If they have that, in future in life also, that lesson will be valuable. But you have to wait for the time to come before you tell them. If you tell them immediately, they will say, you are such a discourager. You are just, you're just putting me down. And the worst, they'll accuse you, my parents think that I cannot do it. And then I need to prove them. And when they don't do it, then they don't have a face. They say, I can't show my face to the parent. Or, I lost my face with my parents. So that's where you have to have that little bit of when you can and when you cannot. That'll work most effective. Is that helpful, Mataji?
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Yes, Mataji. My only concern is anybody hungry? And you are all vegetarians, right? Okay, you'll not eat me, so we are good. So. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So my question is you said children will fond of eating chips and all these things, but Krishna knows that, or the mother knows eating broccoli or something is healthy rather than. So why Krishna would directly make us to eat only that one, like that one only, and hate chips and all, so that we didn't even think of that, right? That's what. If we have whatever we like, and if we fulfill with our goals, then happily we can chant, and happy we don't think of something else, and we don't think, even if we go, if we come to temple and if we do kirtans also, our mind will be something in there, and something thinking of that, we lack of something, I didn't have this, or I didn't have that. But if Krishna gave all these things, maybe within 1 year, 2 years, like that, completely, just at least a fulfilled soul is more happily chant than all these things, I believe. So why Krishna made like Sometimes I thought, if we are very happily fulfilled with all of our goals, no one will chant Krishna. Maybe.
I was about to say that you answered your own question. Because please understand this. Okay, I'll in short tell the story of Dhruva Maharaj. Everybody knows the story, right? I'll just give a very brief summarized version, because we can have this Karthik series. I have kept it really little deep into Bhagavatam, because because based on the audience, I can see that if the audience is very new, then I will not. But since it's a known audience, I'm really going deep into Bhagavatam just to renew the faith of those who are already on that path, rather than. So Dhruva's story was that his father Uttanapada had 2 wives, Suniti and Suruchi, and Dhruva was the son of Suniti. And Suruchi was a favorite of Uttanapada. Suniti's position was so bad that even the maid servant got a better respect from the king than being her own wife. And Dhruva was the son of Suniti, and one day Suruchi's son tried to climb on the lap, 5-year-old tried to climb on the lap of the father, and you can see brothers. If one does it, so Dhruva wanted to climb on the lap of his father as well. And Suruchi insulted him with very, really harsh words. And Dhruva said, I want, now you are just saying this because my father is a king. I will show to the world, get a better kingdom, even better than my grandfather. And if your grandfather was a millionaire, it was one thing. But his grandfather was Brahma, who had the highest planet. And so long story short, Dhruva performs severe austerities. And then the Lord comes and he'll give him Dhruvaloka. A 5-year-old boy winning the topmost planet. It's not like one small house in Los Altos or a large house in Los Altos. It's not even like, 100 acres in Bay Area, prime Bay Area land. It's a whole planet. The highest planet is yours. And Dhruva should be actually making sure that Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, all the pictures are loaded. he should be having parties after parties on his new house, which is a whole planet of itself. And he should be actually saying to the father and grandfather, dudes. But you know what he said? He said, what did I do? Why did I ask God even for something materially insignificant? That Lord, whom the great yogis and sages take millions of lifetimes to see, I saw him in 6 months. So my point here is, Mata, that even if you are fulfilled and you will think you will chant Hare Krishna, chanting of Hare Krishna is so intense that it will fulfill everything else. To come back to your analogy, broccoli versus soda and chips. If you keep eating that broccoli, it becomes so nectarian that the soda and chips happiness seems insignificant. So we aspire for the transcendental broccoli rather than insignificant soda and chips that can give you temporary happiness. Does that help?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? All right. Damodarashtam? Anything? Okay. Yes, please. And okay, can Bhumika Mataji also come along with Namaswaran Prabhu? Yeah. Mataji, thank you so much for hosting us. And it was such a delightful Sangha and Katha we had here at your home. Thank you, Namaswaran Prabhu and Bhumika Mataji. Please give them a very big hand. Okay. So I can start. Niyar can come. I can do the singing. So unless anybody wanted to sing. I said something. Are you sure? All right. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyolukaladhavamanam Paramrishtam Matyantato Dritya Gopya Rudantamuhurnetra Yugmam Rajantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Satantanetram Muhushvasakam patri rekanka kantha स्थिताग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयशिताग्नेषु भक्तिर्जितात्मां पुनः प्रेमस्तास्तं सतावृत्तिवन्दे वरं देवा मोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं ऋणेऽहं वरेषदपिह इदं ते वा पूर्णाथ गोपालबालां सदा मे मनस्याभिराष्टं किमन्यै इदं ते मुखाम्भोजमत्यन्तनीले ऋतं कुण्टलैः स्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्या मोहश्चुम्बितां बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्य विराष्टमलं लक्षलाभै नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाब्धिमग्ना कृपादृष्टिवृत्स्याति दीनं बतानु गृहाणेश मामज्ञामेध्यक्षिदेशाय कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमूर्त्यैव यद्वा त्वयामुचितौ भक्तिभाजकृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह नमस्तेस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोद्धारायाथा विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्त्यलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नान्त्यलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Shri Radha Damodar Bhagavan ki Hare Krishna. Nihal, you can.
महाप्रसादे गोविंदे प्रसादे नमो ब्राह्मणे वैष्णवे स्वल्प पुण्य